Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our weekly live stream Q&A, where tonight I was anticipating no news as I scheduled the stream. Some of you might have caught it. It was titled along the lines of Celtic wait for their post-split fixture fate. Well, tonight, just after I scheduled that stream, we did find out Celtic's post-split fixture fate. We have the list of games. We have the dates of the games. We're going to get into that in a moment. It's relatively straightforward. It's hardly huge breaking news that it would normally be if there was a competition still to be won. But Celtic were champions long ago. The competition was won long ago. So it's a formality. These last few games in the grand scheme of things don't mean that much in terms of where the title will end up, but they do still mean a lot to Celtic, the fans, and what we're building towards going into this summer. As Brendan Rodgers has already said, he needs freshness in this side. So these last 5 league games, potentially 2 Scottish Cup games, I'm sure will say a lot to the manager, will say a lot to the supporters. It doesn't matter if the league's won or not. We still have to play our best, and we still need to go to some difficult places, play some difficult fixtures in the quest of completing the treble. So we're going to talk all about that. If you are joining me live, it's nice to see you. Make sure to go down below, hit like and subscribe. And if you're watching back in video form throughout the day or tomorrow, then try and join us live next time. But it's good to have you here anyway. We are so close to 50,000 subscribers. In fact, we are less than 50 subscribers away from 49,000. So if you haven't already, go down below, hit that subscribe button. Let's be the first Celtic fan channel on the platform to hit the big 50k. Thank you for your support. Right, let's get into that statement today from the SPFL. It was also, of course, picked up on by Celtic, the club themselves, talking about the post-split fixtures, in which they made it perfectly clear for those who might not have understood. We are 1 point away from being crowned champions, which means in our next game, Celtic could win 4 in a row officially, should we win or draw. That would be enough to secure the title. 1 point in the last 5 games would be enough to secure the title. We could lose 4 and draw 1. We'd still win the league. So we're in a very good position. And that will come potentially at Tannadice, because here are the post-split fixtures on screen. Celtic's first game will be on Saturday, April 26th at 12:30 kickoff against Dundee United, and that is the game where it looks likely Celtic will be crowned champions. Nothing's a given. We could go up there and lose. I mean, we lost at McDiarmid Park last week. We played bottom of the league St Johnstone, and we got nothing there. So you never know. It's no guarantees, but most likely, if you were to go and look at the bookies' odds, Celtic will probably be crowned champions at Tannadice this year, a place where we have won the league plenty of times over the last 20 years. I remember a couple off the top of my head. 2008, of course, we won the league there. We won it under Ange Postecoglou a couple of years back as well. I think there was another 1 or 2. We like winning the league at Tannadice, it seems, and that's where it's probably going to happen. Again, a lot of people already throwing out the idea of throwing the game so that we can go into Sunday, May the 4th, and potentially win the league at Ibrox. I think that's a nonsense way to look at things. I would like to go to Ibrox as champions, especially with 2 defeats to Rangers already this season. There's no guarantee that we go to Ibrox and win in the split. So you've got to be cautious about that. You don't want to go there with the pressure on and taking it further into the Hibs game. You just want to get the job done, and Tannadice is the place where we want it. I'm sure we're going to get all the conversations about the Guard of Honour at Ibrox or whatever. We'll come on to that in a minute. Let's just go through the games in their entirety very quickly. So we've got to wait quite a while for our next home game. We won't be at Celtic Park till May the 10th. That is just under a month. We're basically waiting a full month until we're back at Celtic Park, until we welcome Celtic, hopefully as champions, to Celtic Park, which is a bit frustrating. The only time that people will get the chance to see Celtic as a big support will be at Hampden this weekend. But Dundee United on April 26th, 12:30 kickoff on Sky. Then we've got Sunday, May the 4th for the 12 o'clock kickoff derby at Ibrox, the final derby of the season. That will also be be on Sky. Then a non-televised game against Hibs at Celtic Park on Saturday, May 10th. Wednesday, May 14th, the last midweek fixture of the season. It will be a 7:45 kickoff at Pittodrie. We're away from home for the last midweek. That will also be one that is televised on Sky. And then finally, we end the season on Trophy Day against St Mirren with another televised game, a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, May 17th. So, presuming 4 out of 5 of these will be televised on Sky for the last run into the end of the season, there's a slight chance, a sliver of a chance, that the Aberdeen game doesn't get televised, but I'm assuming it will be. Yeah, that is your post-split fixtures right there. We have been given 2 last home games, 3 away games with a point needed to win the title. But of course, Celtic should be aiming for 15 out of 15, you would assume. And hopefully we do make it 15 out of 15. That's exactly what the aim should be. If we didn't get 15 out of 15, I'd be pretty sad. But of course, you probably expect with the football being played and with the resting being done for cup games or whatever, it might be a wee point or 2 dropped in there. But let's hope not. Let's hope not, indeed. There you go. Tannadice. That's where it looks as though we're going to win the league. A lot of conversation going on about that. People asking about this Rangers game. If we lose at Tannadice, would they cancel the derby? Would they move the derby? No, I don't think they would call it off. It would still go ahead if Celtic had the chance to win the league there. That's what would happen. And they've made that list for a reason. Look, the SPFL could have very easily put Rangers as the penultimate game of the season, or they could have put them as the May 10th slot in there as well to try and stop that from happening, but they haven't. So they can't just go about cancelling fixtures. So yeah, that's that. And people asking about guards of honour. Let's just not get started on the guard of honour thing. You know, it's just it's a non-starter. Rangers are not going to give Celtic a guard of honour if we go there as champions. Listen, the good thing is the thought of going into Ibrox as champions is good enough for me. The fact that their fans have to sit there and deal with the fact that Celtic have made it 4 in a row, that they are coming to Ibrox as champions yet again for the 19th time since the year 2000 in 25 years, I'm pretty okay with that. I don't really need a guard of honour. It's never really bothered me, to be quite honest. I don't expect many of these sides to give us the guard of honour should we become champions on Saturday, April 26th, and that includes Rangers. And I, for one, don't really care. I don't care at all. So yeah, there you go. That's just post-split fixtures. Thank you to Mackenzie, who's been a member for 4 months, saying would have been nice to win it at home, but not as the case. So let's win it as early as possible. Yep, I agree. I just don't see it's very. I mean, like I've seen 3 people say it. So like less than 0.01% of the Celtic fandom saying that we should throw the game at Tannadice so that we can maybe do it here. It's just a stupid idea. It's stupid to suggest. Let's get it wrapped up as early as possible. And I do agree, Mackenzie. It's a gutter that we missed out the chance of doing it at Celtic Park, especially because we haven't done it since 2018. But nonetheless, champions, that's all that matters. And if you tell me at the start of the season that you're going to win the league, I don't care where it is you win the league, to be fair. Thank you to Connor. Huge shout out to him who's just become a new member on the channel. Thank you, Connor, for joining the 118/Thunder Club. It's good to have you. Welcome yourself in. If anybody else wants to become a channel member, you can do it below. And thank you to Aaron, who's been a member for 4 months. So there you go. That was the big news that came out today. We now know our fixtures for the post-split. We'll hear what Brendan Rodgers and anybody else associated with the club have to say about it in the next press conference. But it's pretty straightforward stuff. We know what our task is now. We know what we need to do. And there's not much else conversation that goes alongside that. It's obviously very different when you have a situation where there's still a title race on, or even last year where it was very down to the wire and there was many twists and turns maybe yet to come. This year, it's literally impossible. They're at 99.9% impossible for Rangers to win the league. They would need to overcome a goal difference of about 50 goals while Celtic lose every single game. So it doesn't really matter this year. It's just business as usual, quite frankly. Aside from that, today, before I get into the question and answer portion of tonight's stream, there isn't much else to talk about. No big news, nothing that's came out that is worth a special mention. Of course, Celtic with a big win over the weekend, denied the chance to win the title yesterday. We spoke about that on the channel yesterday. But nothing of note that I need to bring up, nothing that I've heard. I've got my ticket sorted through the Hampden ticket app for Hampden, if anybody cared about that. But A big few weeks ahead, including that semi-final at Hampden this weekend. So shall we get into the question and answer part of the stream? That's why all of you guys are here. We want to talk about Celtic, and I want to get all your points about Celtic, whether that's about this post-split fixture list or the remainder of the season in general. Let me get your questions and let's talk about that. Let's start with Jordy C 1888, who says, Ryan, who do you think, or who would you like to see come in this summer? I would just like to see freshness, as Rogers put it. I would like to see a good few signings come in. I'm not necessarily bothered of who they are, as long as they're of high quality. I'm not a scout at the end of the day, and I say that every year. It's not my job to pick the players who I think should be coming in. I would like to see Lennon Miller come in. That's one of them. Obviously, Tierney's coming back. But I would just like to see a striker. I'd like to see a defensive midfielder. I'd probably like to see a winger come in, another left back, be it Schlupp or somebody else. There's areas that I would like to see come in, but not a specific one who that comes to mind, maybe except from Lennon Miller. The fact that there's people who think Celtic Park still doesn't need a capacity increase is hilarious. As someone who isn't lucky enough to have a season ticket, have you tried getting a ticket? Well, I've had a season ticket for coming up 10 years now, so I've never had to comment on it. Look, I understand the frustrations of Celtic Park not being expanded, but at the end of the day, there is too many people in that stadium who don't turn up with their season book, which would make an empty Celtic Park look terrible, and that's one of the main reasons that people advocate against expanding the stadium. So there's other ways to go about sorting the issue first before we have to talk about stadium expansion. If anything comes before if stadium expansion is generally being considered, it shouldn't be considered without a ticket exchange system. That's what comes first before we talk about expanding the stadium, naturally, and just I think just the intelligent answer is to do that before we talk about fixing up the stadium. Ewan, remember how bad Yang was at Tannadice in December? I generally thought he was done for. He's been brilliant since, and would love to see him score the win at Tannadice to win us 55. What a bit of progress he's went through since then. I was ready to drive him down to Glasgow Airport myself. Thought he was probably ready to go in the January window, or at least this window. And look how he's won us all over. So fair play to him. He's been a hard worker, and that, I think, being the measuring stick. Tannadice coming up in a few weeks' time to Tannadice then is a good way to put it, Ewan. 100%. Winning the league the same day the 49ers win the draft sounds good to me. Well, listen, come on, we can't be talking about the 49ers in here anymore. We've been through this. It's too late. It's too late for you 49ers Scotland. It's over. It is over. I think I was the happiest person in Pittodrie yesterday before Hadji scored. Well, the hate watch was real, Adam, and I appreciate you going on the hate watch, but you jinxed this. You jinxed this. You shouldn't have been too happy. Martin, hello, it's good to see you. Saying, evening, Ryan, hope you're well. Do you think Hatate and Kuhn will leave? I don't think Kuhn will leave. I think Kuhn will stay. Hatate, I think there's every chance of him leaving, depending if anybody's interested, but I don't think he's in a rush out the door, and I don't think we should be in a rush to have him out the door either. I don't think that's the case. Or should be the case, I should say. Many tickets have we got for Sunday? Surely St John's not getting more than tickets. Yeah, I think we have about 35,000/40,000, but there'll be a good chunk of that are probably corporate tickets as well. I couldn't tell you the exact figures for the game this weekend. I wish that I could, but I'm assuming it's between the 35 and 40,000 mark, with at least 5,000 of that being corporate tickets, or being hospitality tickets. So yeah. In a year's time, when people calm down a bit, what do you think Greg Taylor's legacy will be at the eyes of the fans? This is right. Listen, can I just be brutally honest, right? Greg Taylor's legacy, and I mean this with all due respect to Greg Taylor, I don't necessarily think Greg Taylor is going to leave a legacy behind him. We have seen far better players come and go, and we barely think about them. We've seen far worse players come and go, and we think about them more. I think in 10 years' time, Greg Taylor will be similar to the likes of many a fullback that has come through the door at Celtic Park will go, oh, Taylor played for us. He was all right. And that'll be that. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just being honest. I think that's what will happen with Greg Taylor. What will his legacy be in the eyes of the fans in a year's time? I think in a year's time, we'll have moved on. And we'll be able to respect what he'd done for the club and be thankful and grateful for what he'd done at the club. But I'm not going to rewrite my entire thinking on the matter. I think it's time that we moved on, both sides of it. Greg Taylor moving on to a different club, Celtic moving on to different players. He's been a great servant, but Tierney's coming in, and Taylor will be due change. That's that. I'm just being brutally honest about it. I'm not going to sit here and hit out with lies, but I like the use of the words when people have calmed down, because I think that's what the weekend's performance has done for a lot of people, has calmed them down on their opinion on Greg Taylor. But Greg Taylor's the type of player that if he was to go out against Rangers in this last derby and drop a stinker, Aaron, you know what'll happen? People will be calling him all the bastards under the sun and saying, "Thank God he's leaving." So that's why I don't comment on a week-to-week basis about the legacy of Taylor or my opinions of Taylor, because people are fickle, fans are fickle, and people end up sounding like hypocrites. And my opinion has stayed the same for the last year, and that's that maybe Celtic and Taylor are ready to move on from each other. So that's why I try and keep it the same. There would be no point me doing this YouTube channel if I chopped and changed my opinion on players like the weather. I tried to remain consistent until a point where I'm forced to change my opinion of a player. And I think that's the best way to do it. I think it carries a bit of respect in it. Got a lot of I'm going to have to scroll down the chat a wee bit. So if you really want me to answer something, you know the script by now. If you're here every week for these streams, you know what to do. Drop in your comment. Donation comments get priority reply, of course, so you can always donate, but please, only do it if you really want to. I did see this, though. I've noticed you wear a Rocket hat sometimes. I've followed the NBA for about 13 years. I love the NBA. I love it. I love NBA and the NFL, and I'm a Rockets fan. Well, I'm a James Harden fan. So I'm cheering on the Clippers this year, but the Rockets are the team that I really like. And that's because Harden was there for a long time. But yeah, I do follow the NBA. I do. And if anybody watched Clippers and the Warriors last night, what a game. One of the best regular season games I've ever seen in my life. Quite frankly. Thank you, Kyle, for being a member for 6 months. All right, Ryan, can't wait to finally clinch the league. What a team we are. Have a nice Easter, mate. You too. Happy Easter, and thank you for the kind wishes, Kyle. Thank you for being a member, and champions again. I love that. Love that indeed. People talking about keeping Schlipp as backup. I don't think he would want to play as a backup. He is too class. Wow. Got a strong Schlipp fan here and the idiot enthusiast. Look, listen, I brought this point up before. I'm not necessarily convinced that Jeffrey Schlipp is going to be willing to stay as a backup anywhere. I think that he's in the twilight years of his career where he would like to play as much football as he can. I don't think it's a guarantee he signs for Celtic next year. Plus, he'll be on a decent wage as well, which I don't know if Celtic are going to be ready to spend. Look, Kieran Tierney, we're hearing, could be on as much as £50,000 a week at Celtic. There's no surefire figure of what Tierney is on, but I don't see a world in which Jeffrey Schlipp takes any less than 20, 25 grand a week. So are Celtic going to pay? This is all speculation. I don't have exacts here, but I'm just taking an educated guess. Are Celtic going to spend upwards of £60,000-70,000 a week on left backs? I just don't see it. I don't think that'll be the case. So I have a feeling that Jeffrey Schlipp won't be here next year, but I like him. And then we've got Baldy Prox saying, honestly, he's just mid. It's funny, isn't it? We're a fickle bunch, People will change their opinions on folk, and that's not me taking a dig at you necessarily, Baldy Prox, but it's so funny because after the Munich game, I was like, "Oh, I signed him up, he's amazing," and now people are like, and has he done enough since Munich to merit the signing claims? I think there's a discussion there, absolutely. So, I mean, if you want to call him mid, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I like him personally. I like him, and I think that he's at that level of player that would add necessary depth and strength to the team. But I think there's also other players out there that could do that. I'm not going to cry if we don't sign him. Let's just leave it like that. Nathan, hello Nathan. How many seasons of starting every game has Calmac got left? I reckon 3. I would say 2 or 3. I'd be in that region. I think that Callum McGregor himself will know that one day football is going to hit him hard. He's played much more than most players ever would in their career. I mean, remember, there was 3 or 4 years in a row where Callum McGregor was consistently playing more football than anybody in the world. Or at least in Europe, and that catches up with a player. It doesn't matter how fit you are, that catches one day, it hits you like a ton of bricks, and it will hit McGregor. And I'm hoping it's not anytime soon, but I would say 2 or 3. But listen, let's just enjoy it. Let's not think about the doom and gloom, shall we? Let's not think about the doom and gloom. Let's see. Opinions on Francis Turley hat-trick at Ibrox and extra time to win the league. In extra time? It can't go to extra time. Do you mean stoppage time? It's some dream, I tell you that, Kobo. Consider they probably won't even make the bench. Baldy Prick expanded on his point about Jeffrey Schlupp when he said he was mid, saying, I don't think he's done anything bad. Don't get me wrong. He's just all right, does the job. He's a bit negative with his passing. I think that there has been for Jeffrey Schlupp, I think there's maybe been a touch of what Brendan Rodgers spoke about in certain players maybe not trying 100%. And I think Jeffrey Schlupp has maybe came in, done the nitty-gritty at the start, and now he's coasting a wee bit. I don't want to paint that picture of him because I like him personally. I really like him, but maybe he is one of the players because he is a little bit lax. You know, he approaches the game with a bit more of a relaxed attitude, I feel like, and maybe he is one of those players that Rodgers was talking about. But once again, I just think that he's a good player, and I would be happy to see him come back next year. But I'm not going to be devastated if he doesn't. Winning the league at Kelly last year was unreal, so I'm actually glad we get to win it ourselves. Just annoying that we need to wait 2 weeks. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I'm happy that we get to win it ourselves as well. And I was kind of resigned to the fact that Rangers would have won yesterday, and then Aberdeen went up 2-0 very quickly, and I was like, oh well, that's that then. And then obviously things happened the way they did. But I like the chances of winning it ourselves. I think it's better. I think Tierney could be used at centre back competition for Trusty. No, I don't see it personally. I just don't. I don't think that rules out the possibility of him filling in at centre back if need be, if there's an injury crisis or just some situation that unfurls where he needs to play there. But I don't think that will be in the intentions of Brendan Rodgers. I don't think it will be, especially because when he plays centre back when he does play centre back most of the time, it's as a a left-sided back three centre half, and Celtic won't be playing with a back three, so I don't see it. I just wanted to bring this one up. I don't want to dox my car that I drive, even though some people have probably seen me getting out my car in and out of the car at Celtic games or whatever. But you would never catch me driving a Peugeot. Peugeots, Citroens, no, I don't. But unreliable cars. I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all. I've never owned. I've been strictly German since I started driving. Strictly German. And I'll stick to the German cars until I can afford an Aston Martin. Thanks very much. Which will probably be never. I'll never afford an Aston Martin. Callum McGregor will retire and take an assistant coaching role like Kennedy. I can see him joining the Celtic coaching team one day. Obviously, you look at Scott Brown and the way he's went about his career, there's never a guarantee that they'll come straight to Celtic. He might want to go and forge his own path. And I think that's a really smart way to go about it. But I would also argue, and I've always been of this opinion, that football players need to take more time before throwing themselves into managerial jobs. And fair play for the likes of Brown, it's worked out pretty well thus far. Done a decent enough job at Fleetwood until it kind of went topsy-turvy. He's done really, really well at Ayr. But you look at a lot of these players like Gerrard, Lampard, and they throw themselves in. And I think they need to take more time learning and studying as a coach. And I think the best managers of all time would sort of prove that. I don't know. I just think that that's the way to go about it. But then again, who am I to comment? I'm never going to be a fucking manager, so it's why would anyone listen to me? I would have a cheek to tell anybody. Thank you to Off the Post Celtic Edition. I appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Welcome to the club. And it's nice to have you. We'll see you in the member. We'll have a members only live stream one night this week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So we'll see you there. Feel free to join us. Imagine needing your rivals to hand you 55 would never be us. Better for the team to do it in front of the fans, not relying on our rivals to hand us the league. Subtle digs, I like it. Subtle. Well done, Ross. Nice to have you. It's good to have you here. Keep your questions rolling in. We've probably got about 5 or 10 more minutes before I wrap things up tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we went over the big story that is the release of the split fixtures. Celtic will have the chance to win the league at Tannadice this year. That's the first game post-split, 26th of April, early Saturday kickoff. And if Celtic get a point in that game, they will be champions. Yes, that's right. Believe in yourself, Ryan. Next gaffer. Well, I'll throw my hat in the ring. If Brendan wants to endorse me after my buttering him up for years, I'd be happy to accept his recommendation. But we'll wait and see. Can't wait to get my 55 flags and scarves out. Might get a 55 tattoo as well. George Square, anyone, as long as there's no fighting. It was actually funny because when we left the game on Saturday, I don't know about whoever else was at the game, you've probably seen this as well, but we walked out our turnstile And the first thing we came across was one of the like the merch sellers. They sell their scarves or whatnot with their 55 flags. First thing, and just 55 flags. I was like, God almighty, they've wasted very little time. That's the money maker, isn't it? That's the money maker. We're gonna have to get one draped up in the background, since 55 is so special for some reason. I still don't know why. I'm glad that we can look at it ironically, and there's not an actual portion of the Celtic fans who are seriously shouting about it. Because we will keep going. We don't stop at 55 like other clubs. Oh God, a wee bit of bitterness, a wee bit of bitterness. It makes the world go round. Just read the 1,000+ passes we made at the weekend is a world record. Is that true? I have no idea. I would have to go and fact check that. Can I speak? I need to go and fact check that. I don't know if that's true, to be honest. Let's see. Got to laugh though, Aberdeen fans at the start of the season saying they're going to win the league and they can't even win it for us. Listen, I'll stand by what I say. It's funny. Don't get me wrong, Cole. It is funny. But I do stand by what I said. They had every right to sing it. If I was an Aberdeen supporter and I watched my club start the season the way they started it, you got every right to have a bit of fun with it. There's no point in being in misery. That's the best start to a league season that any team has had outside of Celtic and Rangers in 40 years. It is funny. Of course it's funny, but I remember seeing Celtic fans getting genuinely offended at them singing it at the start of the season, and I just never understood getting offended by it. Like, let them enjoy it. Like, it's football, and football is all about enjoying yourself, and they were just enjoying themselves. And hello to Dylan, who is a new member as well. He's back as a member. You were a member before, were you not, Dylan? Don't know, but it's nice to see you. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining the club. It's good to have you. 3 new members tonight. God, bloody love that. Let's see, what else was there? What else have I need to scroll down? Oh God almighty. Apparently we're looking to still tie Greg Taylor down to a new deal, and apparently it's close. I wouldn't believe too much of what you see that isn't reported by certain people. What I will say to that is it's not done. Because Brendan Rodgers didn't categorically confirm that Greg Taylor won't be signing on a new contract. He never categorically confirmed that once. He said it's looking more than likely that he will leave. But that doesn't, we've seen this happen in football a million times, players set to leave or whatever, and then things change or things. I mean, Greg Taylor might be sitting there without a better offer on the table, and he might have to walk into Brendan's office and go, see that deal that he's put down for me? Can we talk about it again? There's no certainties. I still fully expect him to leave, but there's no guarantee around it. So if you're desperate to see Greg Taylor stay, there's still a wee bit of hope. And if he does stay, I'm totally fine with it. I'm totally fine. I think he'll do a great job being a number 2 to Kieran Tierney. But I would just say there's no point in believing too much yet. Go off what you hear from the manager. Go off what you hear from the reliable sources. And as I said, there's no guarantees. Let's see. Payment to stop. Right. Okay, that makes sense. Well, it's nice to have you back, Dylan. It's nice to have you back. Have Falkirk won the championship yet? Can't wait for them to be in the Premiership. Not yet. I don't think. I think they can win it this weekend coming. But they've not won it officially yet. But they're similar to Celtic. I think they've basically won it. What's the situation with Daniel Cummings? Is he off saying he's off? Daniel Cummings is away. He will be gone. What actually happened to the Zagreb pre-contract they signed in January? Was that just well, he never actually signed a pre-contract deal with them, and everything's kind of went to the wall. So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. That Dinamo Zagreb were apparently one of the teams who were front runners to sign Greg Taylor. They had been in contact with Greg Taylor, and apparently there was movement on both ends to make it happen. But the thing is, the manager who wanted them, Fabio Cannavaro, you might have heard of him, World Cup winning centre half, one of the best centre halves to ever play the game, Real Madrid legend and whatnot. He was the manager and was apparently the one that wanted to sign him, which is nuts. Fabio Cannavaro wanting to sign Greg Taylor. What a sentence that is. He got sacked last week. So Cannavaro isn't there anymore. So, Schmeichel might leave and retire at Falkirk. There is more chance of me signing for Celtic and retiring my YouTube career at Celtic than there is at Schmeichel retiring at Falkirk. He was on loan to them for like a year. Yeah, aye. So there's your explanation, basically. No worries. I'm fine explaining. But yeah, so the manager's gone. Zagreb are back to managerless state. They're looking for their third manager this season. I don't think that the move for Greg Taylor will still be on the table, to be quite honest. Do you think that Tierney will fill that inverted fullback role for Celtic as good as Taylor? I don't necessarily think that will be Rodgers' plan for Kieran Tierney. So I don't think we need to worry about that. I don't think that Kieran Tierney will be used as an inverted fullback. He wasn't really used as an inverted fullback in his first spell here. Brendan Rodgers has obviously tinkered with inverted fullbacks, but I don't think that'll be the plan. I don't think it should be the plan. Tierney is good as a fullback. That is what Tierney is best at. When you watch him play for Arsenal, he's better getting up and down the line. When you watch him playing for Scotland, granted, he plays at left centre half, so it doesn't apply. But when he played at Celtic, he was amazing at bombing up and down the line. And of course, he's not as quick as he used to be. Injuries have hampered him a little bit in that regard. But he's still, I mean, if you've watched him since he's came back into the Arsenal fold recently, he's just brilliant at that. So I don't think that'll really matter. And I just think that inverted fullbacks was something that worked with Ange, and it should stay with Ange. It doesn't need to happen with every manager. Just seen a video of yours saying Frimpong out, Ben Davies in. Let's just not. No, thanks. Let's not talk about it. Would you rather not qualify for the Champions League and have a really good Europa run, or qualify for the Champions League and get the 3 wins and knocked out? I've said this a few times. I've got a few more questions and then I'm going to log off for tonight because we are running over time. But what I would say to that is, we are in no position as a football club to be knocking back the Champions League for any reason right now. We should be capitalising on the possibility of qualifying for that competition for years, and that should be the priority. That should be the priority. Because there's so much money in the line, and I get it, we'd love a Europa League run, but we should not be giving up the opportunity of getting the money in that competition, and that's where the big boys want to play. If we want to keep building, put it perfectly looping, if we want to keep building, you've got to qualify for the Champions League. So I have no interest in dropping down to the Europa League anytime soon. I would love it in a few years, maybe, not right now. I've seen some, what was this? You got beef with Fog Football. Can't seem to stop. Who's Fog Football? He's talking about me. Somebody talking about me. What age is he? 12. Fuck's sake. I don't know who that is, Dylan. So I don't have beef with anybody. There's a couple of people I don't like, but I don't have beef with them. I don't know who Fog Football is. So I'd have no idea. Would love to know what he's saying about me though. I always like having fans. Right, a couple more questions. Edward, I was asked this in the group chat the other day as well, and I don't necessarily want him back. I'm a huge fan of Edward. I love him, and I loved him while he was here, and I backed him up big time. Especially when he was under the allegations of downing tools, and I really defended him. But he's not played well enough these last couple of years to warrant a move to Celtic. And I know that he's not played in this calendar year, and that's kind of similar to Jota in that sense. But I have no interest in signing him back. So yeah. On that note, we'll probably two gimps that run a Scottish football page. I'll need to look them up. I have no idea who they are. I have no idea. Right, lads, thank you for tuning in tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. Over 300 live viewers right now on this Monday evening. I do appreciate the hell out of that. Before I go, I'd like to say thank you to new members Connor, Off the Post, and Dylan. Thank you for becoming members. We'll be back for a live Q&A stream at this time next week, and obviously a full week's worth of content building towards that Scottish Cup semi-final as well. So until then, please take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your Monday night, and I'll see you all next time.